Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my review for RE.SURS. So dear viewers, this particular video game originally released all the way back in 2023, a year I remember fondly as the year I played a hell of a lot of video games. And just like that beautiful bearded bastard Barry Bertrum, you're probably wondering,
what is this?
RE.SURS is a futuristic story-driven 2D side-scrolling shooty game in which you shoot, dash, kick, and hack monsters as you try to uncover the secrets of the RE.SURS dark energy and demons interdimensional invasion. So let's review this bloody video game the only way I know how. Badly. And let me start off by saying I am rather the fan of the 2D side-scrolling shooty video game. They tend to be rather linear, which of course this one is, divided up into stages. They tend to have epic, albeit rather tricky boss fights, which, you guessed it, this one does, and they just tend to be rather enjoyable, which I can confirm this game is, for the most part. We'll talk about that in a moment. And speaking of the bosses themselves tend to be larger than Godzilla Schlong, and with a more varied moveset than you'll find in your average Schlong, of course. And the key to overcoming these rather gargantuan foes is to figure out all of their attack patterns. Or do what I did and just brute force the bastards, which got me through most of the boss fights. Not all, but most of them. The story itself is a rather interesting affair. There's portals going to a kind of hellscape a la Doom. There's an evil sorcerer bastard who's trying to take over the world or some such bollocks. And of course we have our playable characters. That's right, plural. That means more than one. In fact, you get to play as 3 different characters in this game, and they all have their own unique movesets, things that they can do that the other characters can't do. Like, for example, one of the characters can use a grappling hook, one of them can dash through enemies or dodge out of the way, one of them can throw a teleporter thing so you can get onto ledges you can't reach and all of that hullabaloo. But in terms of the actual shooting, they're all exactly the same. And in fact, they'll all have access to pretty much the same kind of weaponry. A pistol, a shotgun, an SMG, pulse rifle, blah blah bloody blah. And of course you can switch between these characters whenever you like. So for example, if your character is about to die, well, just simply change to a different character and they'll have a full health meter ready to go. Reminded me very much of those video games, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which had a similar mechanic in which you could switch to the other characters and each of the characters had their own bloody movesets. So all in all, I really enjoyed this game, but there were a couple of things that offended me more than seeing a giraffe with a beard. Most notably the fact that this game, for being a side-scrolling shooter platformer type game, has no jump function. Like I said, yes, one of the characters has a goddamn grappling hook. Yes, one of them has a teleporter thing. But this just makes most of the game more frustrating than it needs to be. Honestly, the lack of a jump button baffled me. Absolutely baffled me. Especially in moments where there were enemies that we couldn't get to. When I say we, I mean me, that I couldn't get to. Yes, the game does this thing where they'll put in platforms that you can teleport up to so you can hopefully shoot at the enemies. But there was in fact more than one occasion where I couldn't shoot certain bastards hovering in midair or just out of my eye line. And I know this next one's probably going to be controversial, but I absolutely cannot stand the graphics in this game. Not the backgrounds, not the bosses, but the characters themselves, looking like something out of a goddamn Amiga game. Honestly, if I can put up Mega Drive games that have far more attractive character models than this game, then you can bet your ass I'm going to complain about it. So no, I didn't like the graphics for the characters at all, really. But like I said, the backgrounds, the bosses themselves, they all looked mostly fine. And the last little niggle that I have, which I have with a lot of these indie developed retro looking video games, is the fact that there's no bloody voice acting. And I know I'm probably on an island with that one, but come on! How hard is it to get a couple of voice actors together to record some dialogue? Jesus Christ. In fact, he's probably available for voice acting duties. I'll have to ask him the next time I strip naked and pray to God. But like I said, dear viewers, this is a very enjoyable, if somewhat annoying, frustrating, flawed little 2D side-scrolling shooty video game. Therefore, I declare that RE.SURS is good. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another review by yours truly. If you enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Are you still here? Oh. You must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.